Hi, welcome to Copic Coloring with Colleen. Today I want to share a little tutorial with you for changing the saturation of a piece using some of our grays. We have lots of grays in the Copic collection and most people aren't sure what to use them for. So today I want to give you a little tip on how to use them to change your saturation. Here I've got an image from Stamp a V, cute little honey bear in his little pot. All of the markers that I used to color this were very vibrant. The coloring groups that I've used, the blues, B12, B24, B26, B28. Then for my reds, I used also the 2 family. I used R22, R24, R27, R29. So those are all very vibrant, very saturated colors. For my yellows, I used Y08, very vibrant, Y23, Y35, toned it down a little bit with those. And then for my bear, I used the E3 family, E30, E34, and then I actually shaded with E25, a little more vibrant in that sense. So I've got this very vibrantly colored bear with the reds and the yellows and the blues. And when I'm working on putting it with a project, I found this pattern paper, which is from the DeLovely mini deck from Cosmo Cricut, and it's a really nice vibrant yellow, and so it works really well with this image. But this might not be the paper that I want to use. When I started, I actually was hoping to use this paper, which is actually from the Timepiece collection from Bo Bunny. And you can see that it's a much more muted or toned down type of yellow, more of a brownish yellow, sort of a mustard yellow kind of color. And so I'm going to give you a little tip on how to make this image work with that toned down or desaturated color paper just by using your gray markers. Okay? Now, there are different gray families or different families within the gray markers. The 2 on the opposite ends of the spectrum are the cool grays, which you'll see here I have a C00, C1, and a C3, and then my warm grays, and I have a W00, a W1, and a W3. Now the cool grays are going to have a hint of blue in them. They have a bluish undertone, and the warm grays have a tint of brown undertone to them. You can use any of your grays to help tone down your image. Okay? If you're unsure of whether you should be using a cool gray or a warm gray, we do have the neutral grays. And the neutral grays are great because if you're unsure, you can always use your neutral grays. And that's what I'm actually going to do because I can use them throughout the whole image and it doesn't really matter whether my original color was warm or cool. But basically what you want to do is take a gray and you're going to add it over your colored image to desaturate. Because remember, the saturation, that very first number, okay, in this case, it's the 2, that's your saturation. And the lower the number, the higher the saturation, or the more pure pigment in it, so the more vibrant it's going to be. So I used very vibrant colors, and I want to tone them down a little bit. So I'm going to add some gray. Now, it's very important to start with a very light gray, and you don't ever want to get too dark. So my grays that I'm going to be using are the neutral 0 and the neutral 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my neutral 0, so it's the lightest, and I'm actually just going to flick a little bit of that color over my highlighted section, my lightest areas, and you notice I'm going over my reds and my blues. Okay. And it's already starting to tone that down a little bit. Okay. Then on the outsides here where I have my darker colors, that's where I'm going to come in with my darker gray, and in this case my N2. Now if I start to go over this and it starts lightening up a lot, then I'm going to come in with an even darker shade of gray. But this seems to be working pretty well. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going over my original color with my grays. And so it's really hard to tell here with the camera. Let's see if I can get in a little closer. But this top is actually a little bit more toned down than the bottom section. I'm just going to go over that one more time, adding my grays. And now it is lightening up a little bit. So I'm actually going to come in with my N4 just on these darkest areas, just to kind of keep those from lightening too much. But I don't want to go in too far. Okay? So now you can really start to see the difference between the two different colors here. I've got a toned down saturation on the cap and a much more vibrant saturation. And you can really see that quite a bit in those highlighted sections. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to start with my N0, my neutral 0, and I'm going to add that to the areas that are highlighted. Okay? Right where my highlight is, just add a little bit. Then I'm going to come in with my N2 because I don't want it to get too dark. I'm going to just add the N2 over my medium areas. Then I'm going to come in with my darkest, my N4. Oops, kind of went outside the line there. And I'm going to add those and just kind of flick that in. And you can see right away it really starts, it doesn't actually darken it, it actually just tones that down. It creates a desaturated color. So instead of using like a B1-2, it's more like I'm using a B3-4 or a B4 or even a B5, any of those darker tones. Okay? So again, because I don't want it to lighten up too much, I don't want the lighter colors to pull out the darker colors, I'm just going to go in with my grays. Okay? Back this back out just a hair. Okay, so you can start to see that it's really starting to sort of tone down. Now you're going to see it quite a bit on these yellows here. I'm going to go in with my lightest yellow, and I'm just going to add a very tiny bit of that neutral gray over that yellow. And you can see the difference right away. Okay? You don't want to add too much or go too dark because then you'll start muddying up your colors and it'll just look dirty. But you just want to take the saturation and tone it down. So you're going from those bright, vivid colors to more of those country type colors. The ones that are just a little bit duller. Okay? And so now I've got an image that doesn't quite work with that super bright paper that I had. Okay? It's not quite that bright anymore. But it works very, very well with my toned down paper. So now I'm going to put that into a project, and I hope that you will enjoy the final card.